Welcome back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Yennefer.
And we are still talking about The Witcher. We're 2 episodes away from the end. And joining us, as always, the one, the only, Lore Master, Kevin!
Kevin!
There we go.
Yay! You did this time.
Hey.
You remembered me.
No confusion this time.
It wasn't a question, Kevin.
I try to
mix
keep
it
everyone,
up.
You know, you got to mix it up, right?
I got it.
Okay, so this episode, season 1, episode 7, Before a Fall.
We can't? Okay.
What?
Go.
Okay. Kevin, would you like to start with the sigil? What did you notice in this episode's sigil?
It was a broken lion, which would mean the fall of Sintra.
So
Ciri already, but we'd seen happen already, but it actually, like, all the events that led up to it happened in this episode.
Right. And we see a little bit more of what happens in the castle during the siege. I know that they keep calling Ciri the lion cub of Sintra, but they haven't really told us much else about Sintra. Have we seen a lot of lions? Do they have a lion sigil? I don't even remember.
No, I think she was the lioness of Sintra, was the queen, Calanthe.
So it's not like Lannister where it's their house creature or whatever, like their house symbol.
I think it's just the way she is, how,
got it.
How aggressive she is at protecting, how, her family and stuff.
Now
it just becomes that type of thing.
If you're listening and there's more to it than that, let us know. Okay?
Please.
Write in.
Yes.
Well, we'll talk about that at the end of the episode, but hit us up if you don't already know how to contact us with what we need to know about lions and Sintra. Maybe there's more to it than just Calanthe's overall attitude, but I like Kevin's explanation. So I'm going to go with that for now. All right. So this episode, why don't we start with the 2 stories for Ciri and Geralt now finally intertwined. So let's save them and let's talk about Yennefer. Good old Yennefer.
Yen.
So thanks to Yennefer, we get a little bit of a look behind the scenes of Nilfgaard, because all we've seen really from Nilfgaard is rage, right? Like, these guys are absolute beasts on the battlefield.
Hearsay.
Well, we hear stuff, yeah, but like what we've seen in action is really violent.
Right.
Yes.
Just blood, 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 and blood. So Yennefer is just casually riding into a Nilfgaard camp, which is not something that I would do, given what's been happening in the world.
Kind of strange, right?
Yeah.
But she's wearing all black, right?
And she's just alone on a horse, no weapons. So, I mean, she's trusting.
She's ready to die.
She probably knows more than us. Or maybe she's ready to die. There's that too.
She does say that in this episode, or
next episode. In episode 8, she says she's ready to die. Yeah. Okay, so Yennefer goes into this Nilfgaard encampment. I wrote down it's in Nazaire, but I am not a master of the map of this world yet. But there you go. And there's just people digging, and it may be some kind of excavation. And she meets Istred, our favorite giant 4-headed man. So when last we saw Istred, he was kind of was he a bad guy? I don't know. I mean, he kind of betrayed Yennefer, but she kind of betrayed him too.
She betrayed, but, she betrayed him too. So
right, yeah. So they were both shitheads.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't absolve him, but yeah. And they have a nice conversation. He says that he's looking for a magnolith. And we don't know what that is.
I thought he said monolith.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, he said monolith. He said monolith.
I mean, if we had more time,
said later that you don't like monoliths.
Right.
I really thought he said magnolith.
That's what I remember him saying.
In both cases.
I had it on.
All right.
CC,
listen, we got a lot to do. Is it monolith or magnolith? Write us, Jeff at potofthrones.com.
Totally monolith.
Or Yennefer at potofthrones.com. Let us know. Is it monolith or magnolith? And I don't know if this is important or not, but I wrote it down because it seems like it might be important later. He says that every glyph on these liths. Every glyph has a clue to something across the continent from before the conjunction. Now, very little of that means anything except the actual word conjunction. Kevin, remind us what that is.
I don't remember what it is.
Oh, fine.
Did I?
Well, you were lore master, Kevin.
I don't remember what I said it was.
The conjunction.
I was thinking of what happened with the world, with Earth, where it broke apart and all the continents came apart and stuff like that.
No, this was on more of a universal scale. This was when the planets aligned in such a way that that's when monsters came to this world, this Earth. Let's call it Earth.
That was right.
So it's like the gates of hell opened.
Yeah, seriously. The monsters came in, chaos came in. That's when magic became possible, as far as anyone knows.
Okay, so he's saying the monolith is one of...
Well, it's so ancient that it has information of stuff from before the conjunction.
Oh, I see. It's like...
There must be many of them around the world.
Okay.
So he's on a journey to find as many of these as he can. Now that we do get a little bit of info about Nilfgaard, we find out that they make sure all their people get fed, no one goes hungry, and they feed everyone the same stuff.
It sounds a lot like communism.
I agree. I think I said that while we were watching.
Except that they're yelling at everybody and saying, "No honor until you're finished."
That's how it is in communism too. They yell at you.
Communism is half yelling, half economic equality. We all do that.
Okay. True, as from what I've seen.
Yeah, sure. I guess so.
On TV.
But there is a good side to it, which is that no one starves. Right. That's nice. I mean, we have a serious problem with that in our country. So, maybe is it worth a little bit of yelling? I don't know. But in any case, I just thought that was interesting. And I doubt it's really communism so much as this religious thing that they have going on.
It was a little more than yelling. They were like slaves.
In this particular scene?
Yeah.
Well, they're excavating something.
No. They were slaves.
I have to imagine that as they sweep through the world, taking territory and, like converting people, that it's probably not, everyone's probably not a believer right now. Like if you were a believer and they were like, you have to find the artifacts in this ground because the White Flame commands it, then you'd be like, hey, digging. I love digging. But some of these people probably need some extra motivation.
They weren't being treated well.
Yeah.
At all.
But they did get fed. Okay, so anyway, Yennefer and Istrid go off to a little cafe in the middle of this excavation. And they talk about running away together. There's some kissing.
Very Raiders of the Lost Ark-esque.
Yeah, but no snakes.
No snakes yet.
And Yennefer wants to run away with him, and she gets shut down.
Do you really think she wanted to? Because she didn't. Is she just looking for something to do? Is she
I think
just
she
bored?
gave up. I think she was just like, well, I'm not going to find what I'm looking for. Borge told me that, so I guess I'll just go back to Istrid because he was my first.
You think that's what it was?
I think it was nostalgia.
And she knows that he loved her.
Right.
He loved him despite the fact, or he loved her
as a hunchback,
despite the fact, who she was. Like, not because of her power.
Right. He loved her before she had any
He loved because of her power, but not because of the power at court held.
Right. Right.
Yeah. There you go. Probably doesn't hurt that she's hot now, but hey, they were doing it when she's still...
I think he preferred her the other way.
You think he liked her better as a hunchback?
I mean, as her natural self.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have changed much. So again, like not everybody has to ascend that way.
Do the boys lose their balls?
Did they cut his balls off? Yeah, I was just thinking that too.
Probably not.
We know that they don't do the uterus thing in the books, so anything could be possible in the show. Maybe
they probably take a sperm sample and then they're like, all right. Compared to everything out of the woman.
They could just make the guys wear really tight underpants.
Yeah.
That would do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's equal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so she's rejected. He's like, you chose power over love. I'm out, lady. But thanks for kissing with me. Or whatever. And then we meet a new character. Vilgefortz of Roggeveen. Roggeveen. Vilgefortz of Roggeveen. I like him.
He's like Han Solo.
He's got a little Han Solo. A little Mandalorian too.
Yes.
Like he's like Han Solo wasn't the best fighter, but he had the swagger. This guy's got the swagger and the fighting skills.
I agree.
Yeah.
So he just shows up. And he says Nilfgaard is conscripting mages, which means force labor.
Basically
right?
just, forcing them.
But how do you force a mage? I mean, they could portal away. I don't
know. They can do what they did to, throw the delirium. What is it called again? Delirium?
Dimeterium, I think. I have it written down in episode 8. But
Dimeridian.
Dimeridium? Yeah,
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, you could do that, I suppose. All right, so he says, let's get out of here.
I'm in a cage if they don't get it.
Oh, yeah, cage of Dimeridium. Come back to Aretuza. I'm working with Tisea, and she said you're the best. And somehow that works.
Right.
I think Yennefer's just tired.
I think she's bored.
Well, I think as much as Yennefer acted like she didn't hate her, she actually saved her, from living in pig pens.
But she hated that she treated her so... She called her Piglet.
That's a cute name.
Not when you're saying you'll never be anything, Piglet.
Probably not a good name for a teenage girl. But Piglet, remember him from Winnie the Pooh?
I hated Piglet.
All right, fine. Anyway, somehow that actually works. They go to Aretuza. Turns out Tisea did not ask for Yennefer, but whatever. So now Yennefer's all mad. And she takes out her anger by going and getting a bunch of young girls high.
On acid.
Yeah. Like a real serious trip. The ceiling was melting.
Yeah, kind of irresponsible, but it's magic.
And she was really just revealing what the place really is.
Yeah, well, I guess. I mean,
and also it was revealed that they were taking money for these kids.
Right. Not cool.
Instead of how it was before finding, someone with a conduit.
Right. Tisea paid for Yennefer. I mean, that's all on the up and up.
Yeah. They had to pay to get witches.
Right. Or it was a privilege to go there. And now I guess we need, well, they don't need the money, but I guess they need the inn with the powerful families, I think is sort of how Tisea sums it up.
From the best families, the girl said.
Yeah. Yennefer took the girls to the eel room and then warned them that they'll take your ability to create life, so you'll work for them forever. But again, Yennefer's just...
She gave away her life.
Yeah, she made that choice. She could have been a hunchback.
Although it does seem that they are alluding to the fact that all the girls had this happen. I think that's kind of a little hole in their story.
Yeah, it seems like it. I wish they'll probably never explain that. I'm not going to hold out hope after all the little tiny threads that Game of Thrones left me hanging on.
I'll do it real quick. It was that she wasn't allowed to ascend, so the guy wasn't allowed to do anything to her, and that's why he was going to get in trouble, not because she wanted him to take parts of her that he wasn't supposed to take. It was that he wasn't supposed to
ascend. She just wasn't going where she wanted to.
Well, she missed the ceremony.
Yeah, she was late to the ceremony.
Still would ascend.
I don't know.
If you miss the second bell, you can't ascend.
With the clock strikes 12,
I think so. Yeah.
She turns back into her pumpkin.
It's the 15-minute rule, which, incidentally, if you know the 15-minute rule from like college classes, our kids think that counts for Zoom education during the plague. If your teacher's late to class, you can just not go to school that day. Okay, anyway. So Yennefer and Tisea are about to have it out, but then there's commotion. Well, the meeting's about to start. All these Brotherhood mages have assembled. Yennefer gets to hang out with Triss. It turns out they were old friends. And the Brotherhood's going to debate if...
Yeah, I think that was... I was wondering if we had seen them be friends, but no, we hadn't seen that.
Nope, we did not see that in any of the past episodes. I was looking for it. No sign of it. The Brotherhood will now debate if they are going to intervene in the Nilfgaard conquest. And of course, Fringilla arrives. She's a cold lady.
She
Not
sure
much emotion
is.
on that one.
No.
Nope.
Stone-faced Fringilla.
But she takes a page right out of the Hitler Poland playbook and says, we only want Sintra, guys. If you just let us have Sintra, everything's going to be totes cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And why? Why did
they want
that was
Sintra? Crazy, because then like right away, after they get Sintra.
Why do they want Sintra? Well, she alluded to taking Sintra to save it.
Right. Save it from Calanthe?
For being godless. I mean, Calanthe's anti-magic. Maybe she's anti-religion, too. Possibly. They don't really tell us much.
Or maybe they just want Ciri.
Yeah, that's probably the real truth, right? They want Ciri, so they're going to make up an excuse to try to take Poland. I mean, Sintra. And we do get a name of who's in charge. Emperor Emhyr. Doesn't really mean much. All we've seen of someone in charge is Cahir, so maybe they're related. I don't know. Anyway, so the council votes to let Sintra fend for themselves, ultimately. So Fringilla gets what she wants, but there's some people that are pissed and are going to fight anyway, and Tissaia convinces Yennefer to join this effort.
So the Nilfgaards are on the way to Sintra. And they're going to guard this one keep because it's the way to the other continent. Is that right?
No. Wait, something's wrong. That doesn't fit the timeline. Oh. No. Okay, so they're talking about how Nilfgaard's going to invade Sintra, but the battle we see in episode 8 takes place after Sintra's down.
Yeah.
Sintra's gone because Ciri's on the run.
Okay, right. So we don't see...
So at the end of this episode with Yennefer, they decide they're going to fight, but they know it's too late for Nilfgaard, or for Sintra.
I see, okay.
There we go.
And so they decide to move ahead.
They didn't move in time, and she did take Sintra, and that's where we're at.
And since Ciri got away, the Nilfgaard army is going to continue its crusade, I guess. So they're still on the march. Huh. Yep, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I guess that's what's happening.
All right. Let's talk about Geralt. That was all the Yennefer stuff for this episode.
I mean, there's a couple things. Yes. You get to see her, talk to Tissaia and actually act like, she says please. She's like, is that the first time you said that?
Oh yeah, Tissaia actually.
That's why she decides to help, because she actually asks nicely instead of.
Which means it must be important. Was there another thing about Yennefer?
I do know that she now has done it for quite a while, and it's one of those things that you think about with life, and I know like how long you can do something, and it's like she seems to be ready to move on, but she's not getting that chance, and then she's like, okay, well maybe this is my next move on.
Right,
helping,
right.
I guess
she needs some direction.
It gives her a new purpose, right? At least she has something to do.
Yes.
I just thought it was weird that they have they have them in the Brotherhood, they have them, and the witches that come to Artusa, and then they go and they really can't control them. Is that what they're saying happens?
Can't control who?
The mages. Like, because Fringilla go through it, and then she does what she wants, and Yennefer does what she wants. And...
Right. I think over time that's eventually what happens. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah, you're right. It's been a long time. So.
It's been probably. I mean, I'd have to look at the timeline, but close.
But
to
she says
years.
She's lived, like in the next episode, she talks about lifetimes.
Yeah,
it's like I've lived 2 or 3 lifetimes.
Right.
What she says. I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
That could still be 100 years in a world with minimal medicine. By the average estimation, right?
True.
Maybe live till 40, 45. 100 years is about 3 lifetimes. Okay, so let's talk about Geralt. Good old Geralt. We see him sitting on top of a hill. He sees the Nilfgaard army go past, and he's like, oh shit, they're going to Sintra. This is not good. So he gets to Sintra first and meets up with good old Mousesack, who, incidentally, I realized the other day that my COVID beard, if I pull my long, hadn't been cut in months hair back, I kind of had a Mousesack thing going. I could have done a good cosplay, but then Jennifer said, ew, Mousesack, and she made me cut all my hair off. Anyway. So he goes to Sintra to meet Mousesack, and we see immediately, like, Geralt knows nothing about Cirilla, doesn't even know that she's a she. So he's really been out of touch. And he finds out that Pavetta and Dooney's ship was lost at sea, quote unquote. Which,
right, we said that last episode, I guess, but we hadn't heard it yet.
Well, the last episode we said shipwreck. Because
lost at sea is the same thing as a shipwreck.
Hey, man, we didn't see the bodies. The hedgehog and the mommy could still be out there somewhere.
Did Calanthe call him a hedgehog?
She did.
She did.
She did.
So it turns out not a porcupine, really a Sonic.
Yeah.
All right, so Geralt thinks there's an assassin in these castle tunnels where he's meeting Mousesack, but it turns out it's Calanthe's men. They're going to kill Geralt, maybe, I guess, but Mousesack has to portal them out of there. So we cut to Calanthe. She's preparing for war, so she knows Nilfgaard's on the way. Great. Geralt shows up, and she just wants Geralt out of here. He says, I will protect her if there's even the slightest chance she's in danger, and Calanthe relents and says, okay, I'll go get Ciri ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seems like, for a moment, it's all about these pleas of, like, just listen, the destiny thing is important here. I'm sorry, but we have to do this. And Calanthe, of course, chooses, what would we call it? Arrogance, hubris. I don't know what the right word is, maybe, but I'm gonna go with hubris. So Geralt goes to meet Ciri, and of course, it's not her. Duh.
Yeah.
Here's where I wrote, dumbass doesn't.
He falls for it, though.
Well, of course. I mean, what he doesn't know. But this is where, as we're watching this, I wrote, dumbass doesn't learn from her past mistakes, and destiny is going to kick her teeth in. So it's all her fault. I mean, this is why everything went wrong for Cintra, right?
Right. Law of surprise.
Yep. Geralt's waiting for fake Ciri to get ready to go. He sees a secret door open up, and he follows it. Leads him out of the castle, and fake Ciri runs out there, says goodbye to her friends, and one of those friends is real Ciri, so Geralt knows shit's going wrong. So he goes to confront Calanthe. They have a little fight, and Calanthe pulls in how Geralt's mom gave him up, so he doesn't know shit about family. Like, that's not fair.
Right.
It really isn't.
It's not like he was like, Mommy, would you give me up, please? I hate family. I hate you, Mama. But then Iced shows up.
Yes.
Yay. He's usually the sensible one.
Right. We're like, yeah, he's going to talk her into it.
Right. And instead, he escorts Geralt out of the property and then traps him in a gatehouse because Geralt won't promise that he'll go and never come back.
Law surprise.
So Iced is now flying in the face of destiny too, and he was the one that understood it before.
Mm-hmm. But now he has a granddaughter.
He just saw it in action with a fucking hedgehog man, and you still don't believe? Honestly? I mean...
I share your frustration.
Okay, so fast forward to the fall of Cintra. Geralt is just hanging out in his cell, meditating and waiting for action until a guard goes by and he grabs that dude and beats him senseless and grabs the keys and frees himself. Cool. Calanthe asks Mousak to free Geralt, but it turns out Geralt's gotten away. So we saw that scene in the first episode. She's like, Mousak's like, he's still here, and Calanthe's like, free him. And then we don't know what that was, and now it turns out it's Geralt. Calanthe's dying, and she grabs Ciri and says, find Geralt of Rivia, he is your destiny. Cool. We saw that before. Geralt gets outside the castle, sees dead Calanthe, runs back inside to find Ciri, and really only finds like one Nilfgaard dude who he murders, but...
Now, wait a second.
Yes.
Ciri does her first... How many times has she done her little scream now? Because that was the first time when she backed up from her mom.
When Calanthe sends her off, she does the scream that shakes the glasses.
Right. Is that the first time she's experienced it, or has it happened yet that we know of?
I mean, it seems like she was surprised by it.
Right. So I think this is the very first sign of that.
Yeah. Well, it comes out in times of stress.
Right.
And she's never really been stressed before because she's a princess.
Okay.
That's my best guess. What do you think, Kevin?
Maybe it's
probably the first time.
Maturity thing.
Yeah, I think it's when you lose control, and stress is probably one place that you lose control.
Mm-hmm. Really, nothing much comes from that guy. The guy wants to know where Ciri is, but the guy's like, I don't know. But he does say one thing as he's dying, which was watch for the signs. Like, this guy is clearly one of the White Flame zealots. Like, he's all in on whatever's happening. He's ready to die. He doesn't mind getting stabbed in the heart. And his last words were about watching for the signs. Signs of what? I don't know. Yeah. All right, so that was Geralt's story. Anything to add, anyone? Did I miss anything?
No, I'm still here.
Pretty straightforward. You're still here? Well,
yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you're still here, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, we did want to point out that, we saw him at the spot right where we saw Ciri look in the first episode.
Oh, yeah. Right. So she looks back at that secret door, and Geralt is already gone by the time she looks over there.
Right. Yep. But that's what we see her do in the first episode.
Mm-hmm. They tied it all together. Good writing, people. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do multiple timelines, I think they did it fairly well. Good, like, foreshadowing kind of stuff. All right, so Ciri's story. Ciri is trying to pull, like, an Arya kind of thing, right? She just wants to get off the continent and go find her destiny somewhere else. So she's seeking passage to Skellig, or Skellige. Skellige. No one says that. Skellige, I think, is how Ciri says it. And we meet a nice woman. who has no name in this whole show as far as I can tell, but I found it. I'll tell you.
She calls. No, they say her name.
What is her name?
When the merchant shows up in the second episode. Not the last episode.
I think she says, okay, I'll hit you with this when we get to episode 8, because I think they don't actually say her name, but I found it in the lore on like Wikipedia.
Oh, he says it. He says it. I mean, we'll talk about it next episode.
All right, we'll talk. All right. So anyway, this nice lady shows up and is just like, hey, girl, be careful. Ciri trades her mother's ring for a pair of gloves, which bugs me.
And then throws away her old gloves. Is that because she wanted new gloves because her old gloves looked like
Well, she only had
princess?
like the one glove because she gave one to Dara. So I guess,
I see. She needed two.
She doesn't understand that maybe she should keep the other glove just in case.
She loses one.
She grew up with privilege. All right. So she gets a pair of gloves. I would have traded. That's a nice ring. Like trade it for a pair of gloves and also a Big
food.
Mac. Yeah, right. Like a large fry and a Diet Coke. Just give me something else. And in fact, she winds up regretting that. But the woman asks her why she's trying to get to Skellige, and says, come home with me instead. Ciri says, all right. And then she steals the lady's horse. Not cool.
I know.
All right. So Ciri's on her own, makes campfire, regrets not getting food in town. And some people approach, but they're nice guys. One of them's name. It's her friends, right? She used to play knucklebones with them in the streets. Like
Good old knucklebones.
Good old knucklebones. One of them's name is Anton. And she's like, all happy to see him, but they're not very nice to her. They're here for the reward. Nilfgaard has a price on her head. And they're taking her stuff, and they're about to start beating her up. Maybe, hopefully just beating her up. And then all hell breaks loose. And Ciri goes into a trance. And it's one of those things like everything kind of goes dark. She falls to the ground. There's a humming noise. And I guess the humming noise isn't just for our sake, because the guys look all confused as to why she fell to the ground. So there must be more. They must be hearing that same humming noise, that rush of energy. Mm-hmm. And then Ciri opens her eyes and says,
Verily, I say unto you, the era of the sword and the axe is nigh, the era of the wolf's blizzard, the time of the white chill and the white light is nigh, the time of madness and time of contempt.
Cut to black.
Good job.
You just gotta get a robot noise in there.
Yeah, we'll do our best to make that as spooky and scary as possible. All right, so we did hear part of this last episode. Cahir, when he was talking to Fringilla, he said the era of the sword and the axe is nigh.
Right.
Now, that seems easy enough to interpret, right? Sword and axe, there's going to be war.
It seems like, does that mean that they're on the same side? Cahir and Ciri, at the very least?
Well, but that wasn't really Ciri, right?
Fringilla, wasn't it? Who was that?
Well, it was
Ciri.
That was her own power with her own shit going on.
But don't you think that if your voice changes and there's a humming noise and you don't remember what happened later, you're probably possessed by something?
No. I think maybe they hear the same thing and they each take it different ways.
Well, but okay, so let's call whatever this is the white flame, because Cahir seems to think he knows what's up. So if the white flame is now speaking through Ciri, is she possessed or is she just
one with the white flame? Maybe she is the white flame.
It's that Catholic thing like we were talking. I think we talked about that, right? Like she's the Holy Ghost. No, she's the
Trinity.
I don't know. Yeah, the Trinity thing, right?
Yeah.
The Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. They're all the same but different. So she's like white flame Jesus.
Maybe. She does have weird eyes.
Her eyes?
Yeah.
They're just like super blue. They're not weird like Geralt's.
No, they're
Are they
weird.
too blue?
They're weird. Her pupils are weird or something.
They really are blue.
So blue.
Like really blue.
Dabba-dee. Dabba-doo. Okay, so era of the sword and axe is nigh. War. What about the era of the wolf's blizzard? Does that mean Geralt?
It must. Blizzard?
I know what it means because you see it a lot in the last game, if you want me to tell you.
Damn it.
Oh, no.
What do we do?
Spoiler.
Do we let the lore master be a lore master?
No. Let him keep it.
No. I'll wait. I mean, you guys are playing everyone's played the game, right?
No.
Well, I was playing the game for a little while, and then Fallout 76 added stuff that's like a daily obligation to log on, and it's kind of bumming me out that I've stopped playing Witcher 3 because I was getting into it.
Well, I won't tell you then.
All right. Okay. Next line, the time of the white chill and the white light. Well, the white flame But why a white chill? I don't know. I guess maybe it'll be wintery. Winter's coming.
Winter is
It's all the same goddamn show.
It is. They just put a whole bunch of different shows together.
Why didn't I think of that a second ago? Oh my god, like months ago. And then the time of madness and the time of contempt. Well, I don't know.
All right.
So winter is coming. Geralt is coming.
No. And Geralt's life is getting hard because it's his blizzard.
The era of the wolf's blizzard. Well, his life is getting hard. So if he's the wolf, maybe he's part of the Trinity.
Maybe.
Bless
Oh.
Jennifer.
Bless you.
Bless her. Oh my goodness. Okay.
You okay?
Well, yep.
So that's the prophecy. We had to rewind the episode so I could get all the words down. And before that, I tried to grab it off the internet, but then there was more to the prophecy from the books, and I didn't want to read all that because I want the show to reveal it to us. So I'll just leave it at that. I didn't actually read it, but there is a little bit more to that prophecy than what they showed in the show. Yeah. And I'll just call it the prophecy because she was all weird. But then fade to black. Oh, there was like screaming, I think.
Yes, she screamed after.
When they cut to black.
Mm-hmm. So did the damage happen during her scream or before? Like while she was being possessed during the possession time? Like all the.
Well, we don't really see the damage until the next episode.
Right.
So we can save it for that discussion.
Right. Well, yeah.
It seems to me it happened like after her scream. Maybe.
Yeah, I think she had the chance to say what she wanted to say, and then bad things happened. Yeah.
Cool.
That's my best guess. So that episode, I felt like it went right.
It was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And it was good that everything caught up. Like you finally got the same timelines, you know.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's still a little bit off because it just went back a little bit in time, but now they're starting to converge. Very
slightly off because Yennefer is like maybe 2 or 3 weeks in the future compared to where Geralt and Ciri, what Geralt was. Geralt's like 2 or 3 weeks behind where everybody else is.
Yeah.
That's I guess. As Yennefer and Ciri appear to be on the same timeline there since it was after the fall of Sintra. But we're so close. And then episode 8.
We are.
They're all caught up.
Yay.
So I'm guessing then probably in season 2, there's going to be some weird thing that happens where like Geralt has a stroke and then like his brain is broken and all of his timelines are mixed up and we're going to get everything in random order.
That's the blizzard.
Right? Episode 2 will be the most confusing season ever. And then episode 3, everything will take place in Los Angeles and there will be security robots and uprising.
Let's just.
Okay, fine. Okay. That's it. So, unless anyone else has anything to add, I don't think there's much to add. Again, like Kevin said, this episode was pretty straightforward, so I think we can just call it there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So again, if you have answers to any of the questions, hit us up. Jeff at potofthrones.com or at potofthrones on Twitter.
Jennifer at potofthrones.com or at KidFreeWeekend on Twitter.
And either of us are happy to take Lore Master Kevin's fan mail. Just let us know.
Okay.
Okay.
We out.
We out.
We out. Peace.